What if everything goes right for the Auburn football team in 2024? Let's talk about it on this edition of the Uptempo podcast.
You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
Good morning, Auburn family. I hope everybody's having a good weekend. Dustin Smith and Blake Lane here with the latest edition of the Uptempo podcast. Little Boog session today, Blake. We're going to talk about what if everything goes right for Auburn, everything falls into place. What is the ceiling if that happens, man? I think that crazy times we're living in, brother. I think everybody needs some good news today. How are you doing, man?
I'm hanging in there, man. It was a tough week for me. As some of you know, our members and everything, and Dustin, I've talked to you about it. My grandpa had a heart attack Wednesday afternoon around 5 p.m. Outside of his home, and he laid in a ditch for about 13 to 14 hours before somebody found him. And yeah, it was a tough week, man. My mom made the call, and we got him to the hospital, and somehow by the grace of God, he's still here. So it's been a tough week. And as far as yesterday goes, like we don't get into politics and everything on this podcast, but we need to pray for like where we're headed, man. And like the division in this country is wild. Whatever party you're on, whatever side, whatever happened yesterday should never happen, regardless of anything, man. It should never happen. It's terrible. It's terrible. So, like Dustin said, we're living in wild times, and we need Auburn football right now more than anything. We need SEC football. Period. We just look. We're all humans. We're all in this thing together. We want to love Auburn. We want to have this team be great. You know, we bleed orange and blue, and it's almost here. You know, and Dustin and I, we were talking this week, and we're like, why don't we just boog one episode? You know, why don't we just have some fun and let loose? The fans need it. We're just so happy that you guys are in here supporting us each and every day we do this. And Dustin, I got my shirt on, man, because today I'm going to be a happy dad. My boy Levi he will be 1 year old tomorrow, and today we are celebrating his birthday. So that is the positive side to this week. And man, I'm ready to talk some Auburn football.
Yeah, man. Yeah, you got a lot going on over there. Continue to pray for you and your family. And glad that your pawpaw was okay. Thank you. Let's boog out, man. So we're gonna start on the defensive side of the ball first. And look, I'm gonna go ahead and get ahead of it now, Blake. This is not predictions, okay? Yeah. So I know that someone's gonna come in the comments and say there is no way Auburn is going 10-2. Not predicting that, okay? But we're saying just what if? Just how high could the ceiling be if everything falls into place and what that would look like? So I'm going to start on the defensive side, and I'm going to start on the defensive line. I think that Keldrick Falk and Jalen McLeod staying healthy for the large portion of the season and getting around double-digit sacks, it would be crucial to this. And then when you look at those transfers in Isaiah Rakes, Gage Keys, Trill Carter, Philip Bleedy, they at least need to be solid. You need at least 2 or 3 of those guys to be solid contributors. You mentioned Jason Jones a couple episodes. You got to get the very best out of Jason Jones, and that's got to at least be above average play at the defensive tackle position. Working our way to the second portion of the defense, linebackers. For the first time in a long time, I'm not that worried about linebacker at Auburn, and that's a testament to kind of the job that this staff has done. And I know Josh Aldridge is down there with the edge in the Bucks now, but like this class that he brought in, combined with the portal additions of Austin Keys, I'm going to give him credit for a portion of credit anyway for the elevation of Eugene Asante's game. Like our linebacker room is just in a much better spot. So even if there are injuries there, I'm the guy from Duke, I always forget his name. I got to get that one down. The transfer from Duke. Yeah. But so we've got guys now. We just added another portal addition out of the linebacker, super late portal addition that nobody was looking for from Maryland. I just like the depth there. And if those guys that are upperclassmen get hurt in that room, then DJ Barber, DeMarcus Riddick. Like I'm quite comfortable with the guys that are in there. And watch Robert Woodyard this year. I mean, y'all watched the spring game. You saw it. It looks like he's finally ready to go. Yeah, Brett, I know I can spell it, but I gotta hear it a couple times so I'm comfortable saying it on air, my guy.
Yeah.
But I feel good about linebacker. And but looking at secondary, another point you made a couple weeks ago, Kay and Lee's got to stay healthy. And then it's just about these young cats gelling together. There's just a lot of young guys in that room. I know we got the isn't it Thompson for the safety that comes over from Texas. You got the big JUCO addition there. So let's see how all these things, how they all play out. But in the best case scenario, Kay and Lee stays healthy. Sylvester Smith kind of steps up at that safety spot and is the player that we think he can be. Caleb takes that next step. We've seen flashes of the player that he can be. And I know you talked to Jalen Simpson at the Senior Bowl. He thinks that's coming for Caleb. Caleb kind of makes that next jump. And then Charles Kelly and Crime Dog just do their thing back there. So I feel like for the defense to all kind of reach its potential, Keldrick Falk and Jalen McLeod get after the quarterback. The linebacker room just does what I think it's going to do. Eugene's what we think he's going to be. Austin Keys stays healthy, does his thing. And then those young pieces just kind of fall into place because they're all talented in the secondary. You know, shout out to our guy, Zach Etheridge. He recruited his ass off for a long time at Auburn. So you've got a lot of guys in that room. Can a J.C. Hart step up? Champ Anthony, what you going to give us? Keontae, you're going to kind of take that next step from being a very good player to show in the NFL, you need to take me no later than, third round. So, and there's all the potential is there. So on the secondary, it's just all of that kind of coming together. I think if those things happen, Blake, then Auburn could be fielding a top 25 defense. And when you got 8 home games and you combine 8 home games with a top 25 defense, that should be a pretty nasty combination.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think the transfers up front have to play a big part. I think they have to gel together. Eugene Asante staying healthy, Austin Keys staying healthy. I think Austin Keys being back and Eugene being back is huge for this defense. Kay and Lee being a leader. I know he's a true sophomore, but it's time to step up. It's his secondary, and I know you still got Keontae like back there and things like that. But Kay and Lee will play on Sundays, and so I think it's his room back there, and he's the one that's he's going to be special. And I'm not taking anything away from Keontae. We know what type of player he is. I just think Kayan's that guy. I think he's going to be out there on an island, and I think he's going to be that lockdown corner for us. So I like the addition of the Thompson kid coming over. We saw what he did last year for Texas. I think that's a big pickup. I see in the comments the linebacker from Maryland didn't even visit. I think that's the familiarity with the new DC, DJ Durkin. You're taking a shot with a guy that you're familiar with and that you know what he wants to do because they did have time together at Maryland back when DJ was there and everything like that. He's an old player. He's I think a 6th or 7th year guy, maybe. I think it's 7. I think it's 7. But that's depth in the room, more depth in the room. And Mausi or however you say it, it's a guy that's played a lot of football, Dustin.
Yeah, I've heard Mousy a lot.
Yeah, Mausi, however you say it. He's played a lot of college football. He played at Duke, all right? Not the highest level ACC team, but they've been better over the years. Last year, their defense played pretty well in some games that I watched. I thought they played really well against Clemson last year. So yeah, he's a guy that's played a lot of college football. Auburn's just got to stay healthy. If you stay healthy, I think this defense works. I like what you say about Keldrick Falk. I think it's go time for him this sophomore season. You saw him over last year just continue to get better. He just every week it felt like he got a step better, a step faster, more pressure on the quarterback. I think this year, we talked about it last episode, you're going to see strides from him, leadership from him. Him going to SEC Media Days sticks out for me. I think Auburn's defense will be okay, Dustin. I really do. I'm in love with DJ Durkin and what he brings to the table. And I like the coaching staff that Auburn has put together on the defensive side of the ball.
For sure. I look when you talk about what Keldrick did last year, if Malik Blockton can give you something similar as a freshman.
Yep.
Where he's solid, and just as the season progresses, he kind of works his way into, because we all know it's going to take a defensive lineman. Like the fact that Keldrick was day one pretty much a starter kind of shows you just what he is. That's rare. And then you think about a guy like DJ Reed, who I think would have got in the rotation last year, but he had an injury and battled some stuff and didn't kind of get healthy until the end of the year. And then you started hearing that he was impressing in practice and kind of coming on in bowl practice and all that. So there's guys down there, man. There's young guys, TJ Lindsey. I know he's super young, but there's a lot of talent there. So just kind of, if you can just get something, because we've talked about it a lot, Bleedy and Carter and those guys, it's just that bridge to get to when that class is ready. So it'll just be fun to kind of see, if you get 2-3 sacks out of Blockton, if Malik, if TJ Lindsey can come in and give you just some production, it's not a lot, but if they can all kind of contribute and help out, I think that would help us out a ton. So there's a lot of potential here for the defense. Yep. And as we turn towards offense, like I say this, I think we can all agree the defensive staff is better, right? The coaching staff on the defensive side of the ball is better.
No doubt. I just like what they've done over there, man. And I know there's some questions at D-line coach, at first-year guy. But, look, all the players respond to him, right, Dustin? All the players love him. They say that in one-on-ones he's there, he's coaching, he was upbeat, he's a player's coach, he works hard on the trail. I think we're going to be okay there. You gotta start somewhere, and these players, they respond to him. I think he's kind of like on that same age gap to where he can relate to some of these guys. So I think that's a positive thing. And then look, DJ Durkin, we know what Auburn has on the back end. DJ Durkin taking over the linebackers. We ain't even got to talk about edge. All right, what Josh Aldridge has done for Auburn, we ain't even got to go there. He's a dog. We know what he's going to do with that room down there. DJ Durkin, I just love what he brings to the table with the fire and the energy. And even at A-Day, I've said it a million times, y'all, he didn't treat it like a walk-through scrimmage. He said, look, I'm bringing the heat. We're going to play this the right way. Auburn hasn't done it the right way the past couple of years. We're going to do things differently. All right? We're going to put on a show. We're going to bring a little pressure. We're going to throw some different things at you. We're going to make you work. It's not a walkthrough. We're not doing that. We're not 7-on-7 out here and just going through the motions. So I think DJ is going to have a heck of a year. I like what Hugh put together back there. Charles Kelly, recruiter. We know what crime can do. The players love him. The players talk all the time about how great of a coach he is. Love it, man. Can't say enough about the defensive side of the staff.
The biggest challenge for Hugh Freeze as far as coaching staff on defense is going to be keeping Josh Aldridge at the end of this year.
Yeah.
We're going to bring in some edges. We're going to get some commitments from some 2026 edges.
Yep.
And then if the production shows up from the edges on the field this year, then it's going to be hard. There's going to be some people come calling, offering him a bigger position and stuff like that. So, he has been really impressive, man. All right, moving on to the offensive side of the ball. I'm going to start in the trenches. I feel pretty good about where our O-line is already.
Yeah.
So I feel like they're going to be above average. So just what could their ceiling be? Is Connor Lewis everything we expect him to be? Percy Lewis comes in and is that just lockdown left tackle. You're not getting any pressure from that side, protecting Peyton Thorne. And guys just kind of continue the improvement. That's kind of where I think about the offensive line. Is just continue going the way that you're going. And everything's going to be okay. I like our depth there. If somebody gets hurt, then I like the guy that's the next man up type. I just like where we're at on O-line. It's not going to be the best offensive line in the SEC or anything, but it's certainly going to be the best offensive line that Auburn's had in a while. And it's certainly going to be the most consistent, I feel like. And everybody, y'all know how I feel about Connor Lew. I felt about him since the day he signed with us. But it's just, he's just that guy, man. He's just going to anchor it. And then me and you both have agreed that Percy Lewis was probably the biggest addition out of the portal, definitely one of.
Yep.
So I think we're in a really, really good spot there, man. Looking at tight end, I think you got depth. The only thing I would like to see is maybe Rivaldo get better, a little bit better at blocking.
Yeah.
But I like where we're at tight end. So I think that room is for it to reach its potential. Just a, kind of same thing as the O line. Like you just keep going in the direction that you're going. It would be nice to see a Rico Walker maybe give you some production. Y'all help me out. His name is just slipping me all of a sudden. Michael Riley Ducker. Michael Riley. Yeah, I mean we've heard the name for a couple years now, right? We've heard about the potential. So if he can come in and get us a couple tutties, maybe 200 yards, and show that he's that guy, he's ready for when Rivaldo goes, that would be really good for us and help out. And then this is the obvious, right? Like the obvious here with offense is the quarterback. It's the passing game. So I don't want to harp on it too much because we've done so many episodes on it. Again, I don't want to just regurgitate the same stuff we've been saying all summer, but y'all know what it is. It's self-explanatory at this point, what Peyton Thorne has to be, what he has to do. So I'm going to try to steer that portion of this discussion to a little bit something different and say for all that to happen, for it to reach its ceiling, I'm going to ask the coaches to do their job because the last 3 offensive coordinators we've had, Blake, let's do a little name recognition here. Mike Bobo. Boy, wasn't that shit Bobo. Eric Keesall.
Trash.
Y'all remember that? He didn't even want to be the offensive coordinator. And then Philip Montgomery. Stories are coming out, Blake. Stories are coming out about Philip Montgomery's time at Auburn. Doesn't sound too good. So some players on offense are calling it one of the more disorganized situations they've ever had in a football setting. Well, speaks for itself. So for a change, for probably the first time since 2017, let's, as coaches, put the talent in the best position. And then I think this team reaches its potential. I think that if you give Peyton Thorne time, if Cam Coleman does what I think he's going to do, if Lambert Smith just replicates what he did last year in the Big Ten, if Robert Lewis just gives you 3/4 of the production that he was able to do in the Sun Belt, if Rivaldo gives you the same numbers he did last year, like it could all work out. I just need the coaches, man, to put the players in the best position. And you have enough. If the defense plays up to its potential and the defense creates some turnovers and then you protect the football, let's be double digits in the turnover margin this year. Let's be up double digits. You got to protect the football, man. Protect the football. And Blake, we've been talking about it since we do this podcast. Big plays.
Yep.
It's hard to put together 8, 9, 10 play drives. You just need some of them games like we had versus Vanderbilt where it was, Jarquez, 65 to the house, gone. We need more of that over a 12-game season. For everything to fall into place, it's real simple to me. Protect the football, put your players in the best position to win. And Peyton Thorne, just be the best version of Peyton Thorne. Just be the best version of Peyton Thorne, which is not lighting the world on fire, but we've seen you do it at a Big Ten program. So if you can be that guy that you have been, if you can just be that guy this year and everything else around him goes like I'm talking about, then you're good to go. Notice how I didn't bring up running backs there because I'm not worried about it.
Yep.
Because like there is no they're already a strength. Like they're gonna do what they're gonna do. Jarquez is gonna get his, Damari's gonna get his. Me and Blake have been telling y'all all the time that we think that Jeremiah Cobb's that next guy up. NCAA ratings drop. You know who the second highest rated running back was in the running back room, Blake? It was Jeremiah Cobb, baby. So we expect a big year coming from Jeremiah Cobb. So I think the running back room is going to be fantastic with the improvement of the offensive line. For everything to fall into place here, Blake, let's just get out of our own way, man. Just get out of our own way.
I'm with you there, getting out of your own way, coaching staff getting along, getting together, making things work, agreeing on a game plan, not being lost. Not getting up to the podium and saying, hey, I had no idea what was going on. All right. I didn't find out what we were doing on offense until Thursday. We can't have that this year because if we do have it, this fan base, it might burn everything down. All right. Auburn fans are hungry. We're hungry for wins. So we have to be on the same page. And Hugh going and getting Coach Nix, I think, once again, he's familiar. And there's a bond there. There's a trust there. Those guys, they've worked together before. Like, I think he wanted to have his guy in there. The Philip Montgomery stuff, like Mike G said the other night, Peyton told him some things. He said, "Hey, I can't tell y'all what he said, but it ain't good." The guy was lost. And I think we touched on it last season, is it felt like one guy wanted Peyton, one guy wanted Robbie, and it just seemed like a torn offense. And we were just playing musical chairs back there. And I never really understood it. When we would rotate quarterbacks, it was just in the worst of times. One would be driving, and we would get to a 2nd and 3, and we would rotate around midfield, and then it would be 3rd and 1, and we would rotate back, get a false start or a holding penalty. It was just we were lost. So can you not do that this year? Can you make the strides to where you get along as a coaching staff? You have a game plan. Your quarterback is confident. I think Hugh's done great things by going to the media and saying, "Hey, I believe in this guy." Hugh's been torn down through the media for not going to the portal and getting a quarterback. Y'all, we told you it wasn't going to happen. Everybody was screaming about Cam Ward, $1 million. It was never going to happen. And look, this thing is a business now. NIL plays a factor. Hugh has told you all summer, that's my guy. I believe in him. You've seen Peyton open up. You've seen him go on podcasts. You've seen him get out in the town. You've seen him do all of this stuff. Hitting the golf balls, going to racetracks, having fun, being open on social media. Yeah, quarterback's the key. I see it in the comments. Quarterback's the key. You got to play better. You got to hold yourself to a higher standard than everybody else. You have to be a team leader. And Hugh Freeze is giving you the tools. So that's not the excuse anymore. The excuse isn't he doesn't have the receivers. The excuse isn't the receivers can't get separation, because Cam Coleman can get separation. Robert Lewis can get separation. Keandre Lambert-Smith can get separation. There's a couple more. Perry Thompson. Dog. There's no excuses anymore. You have the weapons in the backfield. You got a pretty decent offensive line that's going to work. They're going to grind. They got depth. They've brought in guys from other schools, like the kid from Northwestern. I thought that was a great pickup last year. So, yeah, it's on you, Peyton. There's no pressure, though. In my opinion, there's no pressure. Just go out there and play. Go out there and play. You have the weapons. You got a Jarquez Hunter with no distractions playing game 1 this year. You got a 5-star receiver out there in Cam Coleman, who might be a freshman on the depth chart, but he ain't a freshman on the field. Throw it to him. 50-50, back shoulder, whatever. Give him the ball. He's elite. He's going to make plays for you. He's going to make life easier for you. So when I look at the offense, yeah, it comes down to Hugh, Coach Nix, and Peyton Thorne. That's it for me. That's 2024. If those 3 guys can't work together and make it happen, we might be in trouble, folks. We might be in trouble, because I think if you get to Cal and you don't beat Cal the way you should, and then you roll in to the Arkansas game at home, and Peyton struggles there, then we got a problem. And then you got Oklahoma coming to town, and you have an issue at quarterback, and you have an issue with your offense. So it's up to those 3 guys. In my opinion, you got to make it happen. You got to get in the lab, make it work. I think Peyton's doing it. I'm going to trust him. He only had one moment last year where he really, really, just got at me, and that was the effort at LSU. That was the only moment where I just kind of threw my hands up and said, I'm done. But the kid showed guts at the end of the year. So everybody that wants to get in the comments or on Twitter and say, Peyton this, Peyton that, hey, believe in your quarterback. Believe in your quarterback. Just have faith in him. That's it. Because we're riding on him. And if Peyton goes out here and wins 8 games and Auburn goes 8-4, we're going to look at Peyton Thorne, in my opinion, like a Chris Todd and say, hey, brother, thank you. Thank you. You did your job. You did your job. You showed something at Auburn. You showed some guts. You showed guts because it was bad year one. You come back, a Jason Campbell, he's glorified. Like Dustin said a couple weeks ago. We know how that story went. Come out his final year, and he's glorified at Auburn now. He'll never leave Auburn. Just be that guy. Just be him. Just go out there and have a great year. Stress-free. All right? Play up to your potential. Too much of this last year. Too much of this on the sidelines. Moping. All right? Too much of that. I don't want to see that out of my quarterback. I'll be honest with you. When I watched Cam in the NFL, I didn't like when he did it. I didn't like when he would stand over there but I just don't like that. I don't like that from your quarterback. I don't see Aaron Rodgers doing it. I didn't see Tom Brady doing it. I saw Tom Brady chewing ass. All right. Going up to his best receiver saying, hey, Julian Edelman, what's up, dog? Why aren't you making that catch? I need better. I need better from you. That's what we need. I think you might see it from Peyton this year.
When you say no pressure, that made me think of something that is very just kind of interesting. I think that the you can watch Auburn at times in this stretch of the last 4 or 5 years, and you can almost see the team feeling the pressure, and it's kind of, and I think it's building.
Yep.
And that's why I made my point with the episode with Mike G the other night about the Oklahoma game, because I think that it's going to be a tight game in the fourth quarter. And I think that pressure is going to arise again. And to your point, they got to kind of act like it's not there, to where it's just, you got to play ball, because it's getting to the point to where, I hate to harp on the 4th and goal from the 31-yard line. We all want to forget it, but like, if you just make the play that you make 99 times out of 100, like if you just make that play, you know what I'm saying? It's like, but but the punt return's a better example in that game of the pressure. It's starting to mount. And you can just see at times Auburn feel that pressure, and it gets uptight. And if you go to a lot of Auburn games, you've been in the stadium when it starts going south, and you know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
You feel it. It's just like, man, here we go again. And that's the way we showed up, to your point, in Baton Rouge. That's the Peyton Thorne that showed up in Baton Rouge. But that's not the Peyton Thorne that showed up in Fayetteville.
Facts.
And I know that those are two different teams, but their defenses aren't that different between LSU and Arkansas. Okay?
Facts.
Their offenses were different. But as far as what Peyton Thorne was facing, it wasn't that different, okay? And the attitude that Peyton Thorne showed up with that day. If Auburn's going to reach its potential, reach its ceiling, Fayetteville Peyton Thorne. Trucking the dude, looking back at him and letting him know, hey, not today, bro. Not today. And then the come in your trap, take over your trap in the locker room, that whole mindset, you bring that mindset. And if Peyton Thorne brings that every Saturday, if he brings that level of juice, good to go. Good to go, man. The whole team will follow, Blake.
You remember the 2013 trip to Texas A&M? Johnny Manziel, Mike Evans, they had just clobbered us the year before in Jordan-Hare.
Bad. 61 on us, I think.
Yeah, like clobbered us. We were ranked going out there. We were ranked. I think they were number 7 in the country. So they were top 10. That right there is what has to happen this year. You got to find that marquee win, whether it's in Como, whether it's in 'But you got to show. It could be Oklahoma at home. I'll give you that. But you got to have that marquee win where there is no pressure. You were facing Johnny Manziel at Kyle Field, who some put as the top place to play, the hardest place to play in the country. And you went out there and you continuously made plays through the entire 4 quarters of football. It come down to Trey Mason. Auburn's final drive. Trey Mason having to power into the end zone, reaching the ball across the goal line with like a minute and 20 left. There was no pressure on that final drive. Auburn made plays. Nick Marshall made big-time throws. Sammy Coates made plays that whole entire game. There was no pressure. It was just go out and play ball, man. We got to have that this year. You got to have that marquee win somewhere. And I got 3 that I just mentioned that I think you got to get. I think Auburn can get 2 of them. All right? I think Auburn can get 2 of them. But I really want at least one of those, man. That 4-game stretch right there, you can't start 4-0 and then turn around and be 4-4. That would sting, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. Before we kind of move to the overall just team aspect of this, final point I want to make on offense is it's just the reason I just kind of went with putting players in the right position is because I think that the players have the ability. So what I'm saying is if you put Cam Coleman in the right position to do what he can do, he's going to have 800, 900, maybe 1,000 yards. I'm not going to, 1,000 even in a Boog episode is probably a little much, but like he could knock on the door of that if you put him in position. If you put Perry Thompson in position to do what he can do, even as a freshman, he's gonna have moments and he's gonna ball out, man. If you put Rivaldo, KLS was just put in position to be successful last year, and he did it at a big time program at Penn State. So just do what the Penn State coaching staff did with KLS, and he's already shown he can be a productive receiver. So that's kind of why I went with that, because I believe in the potential of the guys. And so that's why I didn't like stat heavy on them, because I think all that will come if you put them in position. But moving on to the team part of it, Blake, and you mentioned the schedule there, and you mentioned that tough stretch of 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
Look, even in the best case scenarios, I don't have Auburn going 12-0. If everything fell in line, Auburn still couldn't go 12-0. It's just that just doesn't exist, okay? And John does not agree with us. Listen to me, Brett. We are booging, okay?
Yeah.
But we're telling you, what if everything goes right? But there's still got to be a hint of realism in that. If we were coming on and just saying, what if everything went perfect? Well, then it's 15-0, 16-0, whatever that would require now. I don't know. You're national champions, but no, we're trying to at least have a little bit of realism in it. But 5 items says even Georgia. And look, Blake's made this point a lot. The undefeated season in college football going to be pretty hard to make happen going forward, man. It's going to be different. The way the conference realignment is going and all that's going to be different.
Yep.
But when you talk about that stretch, best case scenario, you beat Oklahoma. You get over that hump that I talk a lot about. And so now you're 5-0, you're feeling yourself. Look, man, we haven't beat Georgia in Athens since I was in the 7th grade. So let's say you don't do it, but you play them close. You're 5-1. That's where I'm going to learn something. How do you come into Missouri? Best case scenario, Auburn want to reach its ceiling this year. Like I said, there is no ceiling to me where Auburn goes 12-0. So that means they're going to lose a game. Predicting them, let's say the first one's to Georgia, right? We all know that could happen. So you're 5-1, you're sitting there. How do you respond?
Mm-hmm.
Because when you're 5-0 and you beat Oklahoma, Auburn's going to be on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn's going to be on fire. This fan base, that if you beat Oklahoma, that's going to be a win that this fan base hasn't had the opportunity to be excited about. It's been a minute since we beat a big-time program.
Yep.
So everyone's going to be fired up. Auburn's going to be ranked. All of a sudden, Josh Pate and everybody else is going to be saying, hey, look at Auburn down here. Hugh Freeze, and then your recruiting class is going to be inside the top 10, and there's going to be all this talk. And let's say you go down to Athens and you lose a close one. You drop 27-21 in a heartbreaker. How do you respond in your tough game versus Missouri? How do you respond the next week when you go to Lexington? Do you pick yourself up and get that dub and get back to 6-1? What happens? I mean, that's what I want to see from Auburn. The first step is you got to get over the hump and beat that Oklahoma game. But man, how do you respond to adversity? And because if you're able to, because you can build, we've watched Auburn teams build character throughout a season. The 2013 run, the last two games in the regular season ended so crazy that a lot of people will forget the first two games. Or maybe that Mississippi State game was the third game. But real early on, we beat Washington State 34-28 with an interception in the end zone. I was sitting in that end zone. That game was down to the wire, son. Mississippi State, we were on I want to say a double-digit conference losing streak. We had not won an SEC game in a minute. And Nick Marshall finds C.J. Uzomah with a couple of seconds left in the end zone.
Yep.
You build confidence. So then as you go to that A&M game that you're talking about, now you have something in the memory bank to fall back on. Hey, dog, we've already been here. Remember when we had our backs up against the wall and Washington State was about to score, but we came through? Remember when we had to make a play on offense and we came through versus Mississippi State? You build that confidence. So best case scenario for Auburn as a team is you respond well to adversity. You have some moments where you come through in the clutch versus an Oklahoma or whatever it is, and you build off of that. And then you lose a close game to Georgia. But you respond to adversity. You come back the next week. You beat Missouri. So then later on in the season, when you're in a tough game, maybe you drop one, right? Maybe you drop another one. So now you're sitting there somewhere around 7-2 or something. We don't ever know what's going to happen, right? Everyone just assumes A&M is going to be this game that we win. And right now I'm predicting Auburn to beat A&M, but you just don't know. Let's say that I'm just saying, you never know how good. There's always going to be a team on your schedule that's better than you think before the season. Let's say that you're having a great season. Auburn's way above, flying high like we're talking about here. And then you drop one at home to A&M. Do you fold up? Or do you come in there that next week, put your shoulder pads on, buckle up, go in there and get one of the biggest wins that Auburn's had in a long time? So to me, it's just going to be, there's still going to be low points in the season. I want to see Auburn first. You got to get over the hump. But how do you respond, man? I think that if Auburn is able to respond to the losses that will come, if they can respond well, stay together as a team, that culture stuff that we talked about with Mike, if all that stays together, Auburn can come out. If everything falls into place we're talking about, you can still come out with a 9-3, maybe a 10-2 type season if the locker room stays together in those moments where things get a little iffy.
Yeah, I like that point. And what I'll kind of make on the adversity part of it is in 2013, I took a trip to Baton Rouge, and all my Mobile folks know that Baton Rouge is a skip and a hop, right? So I went down to Baton Rouge and sat in the rain and watched the LSU Tigers go up 21-0 in a matter of minutes. We all remember that game. And leaving the stadium that night, I was hurt because I was like, man, I hate this trip home. Now I got to sit here and listen to a post-game show about Auburn losing on the way back, and just
soaking wet.
Yeah, soaking wet. Hate it. It is what it is, though. Love my Auburn Tigers, right? But as I was leaving the stadium, I said, you know what? That's a different football team. That's not the same football team that we watched last year. That's not the same team that got clocked by Johnny at home. That's not the same team that went 3-9. That's a different football team. That team didn't give up. That team fought back. So I think, in the middle of the season, in that 4-game stretch, how are you going to respond? Look, I got us beating Oklahoma. It's at home. It's at Jordan-Hare. Auburn they need a win. They need a big-time win. We're at the point where we're starving for one.
Yeah.
And if you beat Oklahoma, you go to Athens. Look, I'm not saying you got to win the game, but you got to be competitive. We got to leave Sanford Stadium the way I left Tiger Stadium in 2013, saying, hey, look, we're close. We're close. That's a different football team than what we saw on 4th and goal from the 31 or New Mexico State or Maryland. That's a different football team. Now, going to Como. Can you win? Yeah, Auburn can win. How are you going to respond after more than likely losing to Georgia? Are you going to show up? Are you going to put pressure on Cook? Are you going to try to shut down Luther Burden? Are you going to put your best effort on the field? How are you going to respond after going to Athens, getting banged up, probably losing, and then going out there to face an elite offense with elite wide receivers and a pretty dang good quarterback? I think their defense can be scored on. I think that's one way Auburn can get after them. All right. I think that if Peyton has a good game, Auburn could be competitive in that game. So then let's just say you lose there. How are you going to respond again? You got to go right back to Lexington, right? That's the thing, man. That's the hard part. You don't play in Jordan-Hare for like a month because you got to bye. Then you got Georgia. Then you go to Como.
2 years in a row, by the way. I hate to cut into it, but 2 years in a row, I'm kind of surprised we allowed that to happen to us again. We need to say something to somebody.
You don't play in Jordan-Hare for a month. So how are you going to respond? It's say you lose at Missouri, or how are you going to get up off the mat? You lost 2 in a row on the road. How are you going to get up off the mat? Are you going to go up there and beat a Kentucky team that I think on paper you have more talent than? A Kentucky team that is breaking in Brock Vandagriff, who hasn't played a whole lot of college football. Auburn wanted at one time. Has a lot of potential to be great. Is that offense going to be humming? They love to run the football. How is that gonna feed into Auburn's success? Can you go win that game? I think you can. But how are you going to respond? Then the nightmare in the room. Some say Pavea, some say Pavea, whatever. All right. Diago. I don't care how you pronounce it. Guess who's rolling in to Jordan-Hare? Your worst nightmare. They're at Vanderbilt now. Old Coach Kill and them boys, they done transferred over. How are you going to respond? Because you know the week leading up to that Vanderbilt game, I get it, it's Vanderbilt. But the week leading up to it, that's all you're going to hear on social media. That's it. That's all you're going to hear. Or how are you going to respond? Are you going to go out there and show them that it was a fluke, or are you going to let Diego go off again? What's going to happen? I don't think it happens for Vandy this year. I think Auburn makes a statement. And then, like you mentioned, Texas A&M. For the most part, the road team in this series has had the other team's number.
Yeah.
Now, we got them in the Cadillac game. That was one of the ugliest games I've seen. But we got them. We were on hard times, still on hard times right now. But look, they're bringing in a first-year coach. They got some things. They lost some guys to the portal. They got some things going on over there. Can their quarterback stay healthy? Who knows? There's a possibility that Auburn does respond, and Auburn could win 9 games. I hate to bring it up, but look, you were so close from winning 8 last year.
Yeah.
Let's rewind the clock. The week before the disaster happened inside of Jordan-Hare, and New Mexico State rolled into town and beat you like a drum. Y'all, we were flying high. I remember I got asked, like, hey, how do you think Auburn finishes? I said, Auburn wins out. Auburn wins out. I said, they go to a nice little bowl game. They win their bowl game. They're just too hot right now. I said, they beat Alabama in the Iron Bowl at home. They're just too hot right now. And then that happened. So you were so close to winning 8 games, possibly 9 with a bowl win. It was there for the taking. So how are you going to respond this year? Are you going to lay down after everything that's happened, after getting embarrassed by Maryland? Are we going to lay down? Or are we going to stand up? I want us to stand up. I want Peyton Thorne to turn it around. Let all the people that put you as the dead last quarterback on their preseason rankings, let them know.
Yeah, man.
Say, hey, I'm here to turn it around. I put the work in. Eugene Asante, being the vocal leader, being that guy, battle tested. Jarquez Hunter, be a leader, dog. All the off the field stuff is behind you. Be that guy now. You're going in clean week 1. Caleb Wooden, step up, brother. Step up. Kayan Lee, you're just a sophomore. Keldrick Fault, you're just a sophomore. It's time to go. It's time to be those guys for Auburn. We're going to face some adversity. And look, the first time Peyton throws a pick, because it's going to happen, let's not fly off the handle. The first time Auburn loses a game, let's not fly off the handle. It's a long season. We're going to be okay. Auburn's coming back. I know we're hearing about recruiting and everything. Look, those guys in Tuscaloosa, they're recruiting. But the guys in Auburn are recruiting too. And Auburn's never going to overtake Alabama in recruit. It's not going to happen. They're going to do whatever they got to do to be better than Auburn. But if you can be in the ballpark, if you can just be in the range of having the same guys on the field, the same talent level on the field, Auburn will be okay. We're going to have a great year. It might not be college football playoff or national championship, but as far as the growth of this program and the rebuilding stage, I think Hugh Freeze and the Tigers have a great year. I know we're going to do schedule predictions coming up here soon. So all I'm going to say is there's a chance that Auburn goes 9-3. I would have a blast if Auburn went 8-4, man. If Auburn come out and won 8 games, I would be through the roof excited. And let me tell you something. If Auburn comes out and beats Oklahoma at the crib, I got to break out the billfold because I'm staying in Auburn that night, and I'm going to have a nice time. I'm going to have a real fun time.
All right.
Now, if we lose, I'm clocking it back. I'm clocking it back down 65 south now and coming on back to Mobile, Alabama. But if we win, I'm staying and I'm having a nice little time. And Toomers is going to have to see me. So, that's where I'm at with Auburn football, man. I think that Oklahoma game, Dustin, is massive. I think as a fan base, we're really, really on the edge of our seat for that big-time victory. And, hey, you go in, you beat Oklahoma. Let's go have some fun in Athens. It ain't no sweat. We're predicted to lose. I can tell you this. If Auburn starts 5-0 and Georgia undefeated in that game, guess what? I'm going to say College game day might probably be there.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
College game day might be there. So, damn it, let's go have some fun. Let's go up there and have grown men barking at you like a bunch of clowns and let's put them to the test, brother. Put some heat on them like we did last year, because this year there ain't no Brock Bowers. All right? There ain't no Ladd McConkey. I know they still got dudes, but there's some question marks there. They got to figure out how to drive.
Ooh, yeah, brother. The thing too, when you talk about that, bro, that rivalry, we need some juice back in it, and it's our fault there's some juice in the rivalry. I mean, it's 100% Auburn's fault that rivalry has gone dormant. But if we are 5-0 and they're 5-0, and even if they beat us close, if game day's there and all that, the whole nation would come away saying, "Okay, we see you, Auburn.
Yep.
We see you." Because, I mean, yes, I know we played them close last year at home, but the nation's also kind of accepted that Jordan Hare's a crazy place, and that it kind of is viewed different. You go to their place, You play them close under this scenario we're talking about. Both teams 5-0. You lose a tight one, and then when you look at the schedule, man. So then you got the bye week, and you got Missouri and Kentucky.
Yep.
Even if you only go 1-2 in this situation here, you still got Vanderbilt and ULM at home next.
Facts.
So you got a bye week after Vanderbilt, so you can rest back up to get your final 3-game stretch there of ULM, A&M, and Alabama. So yeah, even if you go 1-2 on that stretch, bro, you just got to get one, and then it could still be an awesome season because you should handle Vanderbilt, you should handle ULM, and then you'd be sitting there with 2 L's with A&M and Bama. Let's say you split those and you go 9-3, man. Like this, you're looking at one hell of a bowl game. Yep. Your recruiting is going to go through the roof, and so that's kind of where I'm going to fall and saying that the ceiling for this team, if everything falls in place, I think it's possibly 10-2. Maybe 9-3 with a close loss, and you're going to be inside that top 15 and right on the outside of the playoff. So that's kind of my final, and we're going to get to some of you guys' comments. You got something, but that's where I land, Blake. Everything goes great. Everything goes to the best of its potential. Auburn's going to be 10-2, 9-3ish.
Yeah, real quick, I just wanted to say this is how good would it feel for Auburn to be right on the edge of that college football playoff conversation? Not making it. I'm not saying making it. All right, just being right on the edge of the conversation in year two, just kind of flirting with it. It would be fun. Auburn would be ranked in the top 25. You would be excited, and it would feel good. Maybe going into a Texas A&M game at Jordan-Hare, there's a lot of positive vibes outside of the stadium. I mean. It just feels like a kind of you remember how Penn State was before kickoff. Yeah. You got that atmosphere outside. People are talking. People are saying, hey, big game for Auburn. I mean, college playoff, implications are on the line here. What's going to happen? It could be that for me. It could. I think it's on the table for Auburn. It's there. And I think Auburn could shock some people and have a 9-3 season and be right there in that discussion. And then you look towards next year and say, hey, look, maybe is it Hank Brown? Is it Walker White? Whoever at quarterback. I don't really care to discuss Juju or anything like that. Yeah. Whoever it is, you look at 2025. Can you bring in a great recruiting class again? Top 5. Alvin Henderson said, he says top 5. You're headed in the right direction. And that's what I want to see this year is growth, man. Growth. As a coaching staff, player development, fan base, and go win a bowl game, man. Yeah, we always say they mean something to us. You can say they don't, but I think they do. For the trajectory of your program, I think Maryland winning that bowl game against Auburn was big for them. That's just how I feel about it. Even though players sit out, I think it's a big deal to some programs if you're trying to fight back and get it out of the mud, So that's where I'm at, Dustin. It's on the table for us. We got the home games to have a great year.
For sure, man, for sure. When you talk about that bowl game, it's so funny. Me and you, just by the nature of what we do here, we talk to a lot of fans. And leading up to the Music City Bowl, that was the overwhelming. My DMs were flooded, or conversations that I had with fans in Nashville or whatever it was just like, bro, I just want to win a bowl. I don't care that it's the Music City Bowl. I just want to win a bowl. So, yeah, there's just certain things. And like me and Blake have the same feeling that all of you guys have. There's this we love our Auburn Tigers so much, and there's this what we've been seeing we know is not Auburn, so it only intensifies the hunger. It only makes you want it more, and the potential's there, man. So look, it could be a fun year. It really could be a fun year, like you mentioned. You said with the schedule there, you got 8 home games. You've got kind of falling back just to a little bit more of a realistic mindset. I thought this from the get-go. With your 8 home games and your 4 road games, if you go 1-3 in your road games and go 7-1 in your home games, you're still 8-4. And then when you look at your 8 home games, I think that's very possible. So just kind of breaking it down that way, a good season seems pretty attainable. And then you look back at some of the games last year that you let slip through your fingers. Let's put everybody in the right position. As a fan base, when the losses come, let's not freak out. Now I know that, hey, look, if it gets down to where you're like 5-5 or something, freak out. But I'm just saying, like, if one comes, early on, like, just let's see how this team responds. And I think there is potential for this team to go forward. And if you do that, if you have the year that we're talking about, you're not going to have any kind of trouble getting whoever you want out the portal, much less high school. So you could be really setting yourself up in the future to just for this program to really kind of go. I hope this is that year. I hope this is the year that we look back on and say that's when the on the field started to go. Because I think that last year's recruiting class was where the program started to turn around.
Yep.
But, we've talked about Florida recently, how they did the same thing, but the wins aren't coming. So now the recruiting is starting to struggle. So this could be the year where this program starts to take that next step. Comments have been very active tonight. I do want to get to some of these before we get out of here. Daniel asked, what does JABA stand for? Daniel, not really the spirit of this episode, but I'll explain it to you real quick, brother. It stands for just Auburn being Auburn. And what that is missing free throws in tournament games to lose tournament games. It's fumbling punt returns. It's just a thing that it's basically like Auburn's going to mess up when it comes time for the big moment. And unfortunately, I always view it as the Jabba the Hutt dude off of Star Wars, this big fat monster. And he is eating good right now. That beast is over there. He is fat and he is healthy because we've given him a lot to eat. We got to slay it, Daniel. We got to kill Jabba. Kingsley saying happy birthday to our boy Levi, turning 1, baby. Let's go. Bob Williams, just the thoughts of Auburn recruits itself. Appreciate you being here, Bob. I will say though, man, Auburn recruits itself if you do your job. You still got to call the guys. You still got to get them to come to campus and put together an organized recruiting front, because I think our previous coach thought that Auburn would just recruit itself by itself. And we found out you'll end up in the 60 range of the recruiting rankings if you do that. I just see a lot of people asking about Caleb Cunningham, so I did want to touch on it. I'm not getting on the juju at all today, but Brad asked, off topic, am I out of line thinking that we had a legitimate shot at Caleb Cunningham? Why was I surprised to see him commit to Bama yesterday? We were in there, man. Like he had his OV to Auburn by his account went great, but he also said that about every single OV that he had. I was surprised and I wasn't, just because you weren't really hearing, or at least I wasn't, but I don't pay attention to the Bama side, so maybe, but you weren't really like, there was a whole lot of rumblings of Caleb committing yesterday, but I'd heard that Bama was in the lead, and not really surprised from the standpoint of they're number 2 in the country right now in recruiting. They're putting together one of their more impressive classes that they've had in the last 3 or 4 years. And I always hated the Husky Harsin, never expected them to fall off, but I will say I didn't expect it to be all this. So it's going to be up to us, man. I put out a tweet yesterday and kind of trying to be reasonable about that situation. And those tweets never really go over well when you're trying to say that Alabama and Auburn could both be in a good spot. Usually what happens then is Bama fans tell you to kiss their ass, and Auburn fans do, and that's exactly what happened. But I just think that and I knew that. It is what it is. It's the passion of the rivalry, man. I love it. I'm cool with it. I know what it is at this point. But the thing with that is, man, is I got a lot of pushback on this opinion, but damn it, it's my microphone, I'm gonna say it. Alabama's gonna do Alabama. Okay. And until they fall off on the field, they're going to recruit at a high level. But it is possible, and would it be the worst thing in the world for the rivalry if Hugh Freeze is getting Auburn back on the right track and Kalen DeBoer keeps Alabama? Will they stay at the level they were at Saban? Maybe not, but let's say they stay around it. They're still a playoff contender every year, and they're bringing in elite talent. What would that do? Let's say there's 10 years where, and we're an Auburn show, and we'll lean with y'all. Let's say over the next 10 years, Auburn goes 6-4 versus Bama. Both teams go to the playoffs all the time. Both teams win a national championship, SEC championship or two, and the majority of those games are classic. What if the Iron Bowl has a 10-year stretch like Miami and FSU did?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's an impossible theory. Like the way both teams are recruiting right now, what if both programs get to that point? Because we haven't seen it in our lifetime, really. We beat them 6 times in a row. They were pretty much incompetent.
Yep.
Mike Shula couldn't even sit down in his seats at a press conference without falling out of his chair. And then they bring in this guy. We beat him that first time. And then after that, boy, it became a thing, right? Like they took off and took over college football. So for a long time, it's kind of been tilted one way or the other. What if both programs were really good over the next decade and we both traded blows and had a lot of success? I tend to think that even though I would hate those times where they got the best of us, that would create one hell of an atmosphere that I haven't seen in my lifetime where both teams are in the top 10 on top of their game, and it would be a lot of fun. But Auburn fans, Blake, when I suggest that, they come at me hard.
It's crazy to me. When I talk good about Saban, it's like, Blake, you got to stop giving Saban all the props. And I'm like, look, I love Auburn, but I'm also not oblivious to what the man just did. Like, he gave us the most generational run of all time in the sport. I can't knock that. Do I hate them? Yes, I hate them. But I'm not going to sit here and knock the guy who put that dynasty together and say, you know what? He's not the greatest coach of all time. No, he is the greatest coach of all time. Now, with DeBoer, yeah, they're recruiting. They got to put it on the field. Are they? Maybe. I know there's some comments in here saying they're going to lose 3 games. Look, if you take that bet, you're flirting with danger. All right? You're flirting with danger. That roster still got blue chips all over it. They still got elite NFL prospects everywhere on the field. So, do I think they could lose a couple games? Yeah. Do I think they lose 3? I don't know about that. I still think they're going to be good. I still think they're going to be competitive. Do they win the national championships like they at a rate that they were with Saban? I doubt it.
Yeah.
I doubt it.
And Brett, I'm kind of with Brett on this. He's been putting a lot of comments in the chat, kind of to this point. I'm with you. I know what you're saying, Brett. Brett says 10-2, and we absolutely cannot lose to Bama. If we do, may not beat them for a while. This year's a must. I'm not going to say that if we don't beat them this year, we may not beat them for a while, because then they're coming back to Jordan Hare next year, and I think we're going to have a super talented roster and all that kind of stuff. I actually think our best chance to beat Alabama might be the next time they come back to Auburn, not just because it's at Auburn, but also I think at that point, even Hugh Freeze has said at that point, I would need my program to be kind of, going and churning and running well. So, but I do agree with your sentiment, Brett, that this is one important Iron Bowl now. You can send a message on the trail, in the state, all that kind of stuff. If you go in there and get it, if you go in there and get them, first time since 2010 and all that, it will definitely be, for everything that beating Alabama is already, that with everything that goes into it right now, it would definitely be symbolic. You would be able to call Derek Smith, Antonio Coleman, Caleb Cunningham, and be like, you sure? You sure? Because we're coming. So it definitely is one of the more important Iron Bowls, in my opinion, in the last couple of years.
I think the momentum that you have right now is in-state recruiting. If you lose the Iron Bowl, especially in embarrassing fashion, what does that say for your momentum? Because then the kids are going to be like, well, Alabama still runs things. They said that Saban was out. All you got to do is get on social media. It's right there in front of you. Well, they said Saban was out, and Alabama still continues to Alabama. And if you go into Tuscaloosa and you get spanked, I feel like all your momentum that you got in in-state recruiting might get washed out. And, hey, the thing about Caleb Cunningham, dog, is we still got a long way to go, y'all. We still got a long way to go. You go out and you go 9-3. You show a competent offense. You show that you feed the ball to Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson and all these guys, Malcolm Simmons. It's not over. Recruiting's not over. You're going to have some, like Dustin always says, you're going to have some big boy battles. Just because a kid commits in June or July or August now doesn't mean anything. They're just trying to get it out of the way before their season gets going. They're locked into a school. Then they start peeping. They say, hey, look, this team over here. I mean, we always see flips on signing day, right? We always see guys, they pull the opposite hat, and it's a shocker. I mean, even Perry Thompson played it up to the last second he signed. We knew he was going to Auburn, but he wanted the juice. All right. So just be patient for now. Just be patient for now.
Yeah, Bryce Kane was the only wide receiver at this point last year committed. We ultimately brought in Cam Coleman, Perry Thompson, and Malcolm Simmons after that. Yep. So still a lot of time to go. Best username in the live chat. Virginia Double Dribble says Jordan Hare is in a dome stadium. Therefore, there is no ceiling. Sky's the limit. I see you, big dog. Yeah, I see you. Wow. And I like your swag. I'm with you. Big Homie says we going to win every home game plus 2 road games. Hey. Like we're going to the playoffs, baby. we're going to the playoffs if we do that. And a home playoff game at Jordan Hare. Oh my God! If there was a top on that thing, Virginia Double Dribbled, we'd blow it off. Larry Hillman says Jarquez is going to have a monster season. Me and Blake both agree with you. Think there's going to be some solid seasons from his backup running backs as well. Bob says 7-5, floor 8-4, most likely 9-3 equals awesome. I can vibe with this. I got my floor a little bit lower than 6 or 7-5. If everything goes wrong, then I think this team could fall to another losing season. I don't think the roster's in a spot where there's so much talent that like you just couldn't picture Georgia going 5-7, right? Like that universe doesn't exist because there's just too much talent there. I don't think Auburn's there yet from a talent aspect. If there are a lot of injuries happen, that D-line, stuff like that, couple receivers or a couple key receivers get injured, and all of a sudden you're looking around and you don't have anybody to throw to again. But I am kind of on the same line of thinking here with you, Bob. Daryl says, sorry to hear about your grandfather break. Playing for you, brother. You guys are my favorite Auburn podcast and wish you both the best. Daryl, you're always in here, man. You've been supporting us for a while, and we do appreciate you.
Thank you.
And then War Eagle Walrus, listen. We don't get political here, but this is creative, brother, because you put it in the super chat. So I'm just going to read it. Trump 24, he likes Auburn more than Alabama. I don't know. I hear you, brother.
Appreciate the super chat.
Appreciate the super chat. And look, I don't disagree with you, big dog. That's all I'll say. I don't disagree with you. We gotta kind of stay away from that because there's a lot of. You turn on the TV right now, you're gonna find it. Okay, you're gonna find it. We have said from day one we're gonna keep it about the ball, baby. And look, I know one of the most, we'll kind of end it out here. I know one of the most significant moments in American history happened yesterday. I'm not trying to gloss over it, poo-poo it, all that kind of stuff. I think I speak for Blake here. We were both pretty fired up yesterday, like everybody else was, man. It's wild, right? But y'all gonna tune in here and you're gonna hear about Auburn football, man. That's all I can really say about it. And I'm not an expert on political matters, and I look at the whole world now. The older I get and the more stuff that goes on, and I don't even know what's going on half the time. I don't even know if what I'm being shown is real anymore. And I'm not saying anything that happened the other, is fake. I'm just saying, like, I don't know what's what, bro. So all I do know is that on Saturdays in the fall, they line up and they play football.
Yep.
And more points, whoever scores the most points is going to win. And that's what I like to focus on, man. And I do have one thing, Blake, that I did want to say. Tomorrow, college football 25 drops from EA. If you have done your early access pre-order. And even if you don't care about video games, and I know half our audience probably does and half our audience doesn't, this is going to be good for the game of college football, man. It really is, especially now with real players being on all these teams. Yep. Everyone's, me and Blake, we set up the online dynasty. We got 14 users in it. Really excited about it. We all picked group of 5 teams. Like I picked Middle Tennessee State. Blake's going to be FAU. I don't know nothing about Middle Tennessee State. I'm going to. I don't know how much Blake knows about the Owls, but he's going to know about them. Yeah. And I just think it's really good for the game, man. Brad says he didn't think it was released on Friday. Yeah, but that is if you've pre-ordered it. Then it's going to be available Monday afternoon, Central Time. I think it's 3 p.m. I've already got it downloaded. You can bet your ass at 3 o'clock I will be hitting play. But it's good for the game, man. It's healthy for the game. So even if you're somebody who yeah, I've seen some people that are like, man, I'm tired of hearing about this. I don't play video games. I hear you. But this is good for the game of college football. And there's going to be a young generation of fans, 9, 10, 11, and 12-year-olds that might not have sat down yet and watched a 3.5-hour college football broadcast that are going to play this game. And then now they might. So yeah. I think that this is really good for college football. I think it's healthy for college football. It's a big plus. I think that all the excitement you see is warranted because like this is a game of like me and Blake's childhood. And a lot of y'all like this is buddies coming over on a Friday night. You set up a little bracket on a piece of paper and you're playing till 4 or 5 in the morning, man. So I just cannot wait. Thank you to everybody that signed up for our Online Dynasty. I think it's great. And I just wanted to say that because we come on here all the time and we're like, the portal's killing college football. NIL's killing college football, blah, blah, blah. There's something good happening for college football. And I'm excited about it. And it feels, I'm happy to see college football fans so happy because everything is so like with the way the game is changing, everyone's scared. Everyone's worried that the game is headed in the wrong direction. To just see everybody from every fan base, Bama fans were like, bro, that Auburn intro. They released the Auburn intro. What's going to look like for when Auburn runs onto the field in the game. Yeah. Even the Bama fans were like, hey, this is sick, man. This is sick. So I just think it's really cool, Blake, and I'm happy for college football fans that we have something to be happy about. And that's all I got today, brother.
Yeah, look, pray for people. Pray for people who were lost yesterday. Pray for us as a nation. Pray for just being a human being and everybody getting along, right? Auburn football is almost here. Auburn basketball, not much further. So I think that's why everybody comes in here because we're all human beings. We all want to get along. We all want to enjoy our sports. Like Dustin said, it's a video game, but it has meaning to some of us. Just enjoy it, man. Everybody get along with everybody. Just be a good person. I don't care how you feel, what party you're with or whatever. I'm not going to judge you by that. I just want to meet good people. I want to hang out in Jordan-Hare Stadium with good, genuine people. I want to have fun. I want to go roll Toomer's Corner with good people. That's it, man. Just let's all be great human beings. I know everybody's made mistakes before, but just strive to be better each and every day. And War Damn Eagle. That's all I got, Dustin.
Yes, sir. War Damn Eagle. Our members, I'll be dropping some stuff for you guys this week. Please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. If you are on audio, leave a 5-star review and let us know, man. And share it. Tell your friends. We are what? I think it's under 300 now, right? Yeah. Right there knocking on the door, 2,000, man. So you guys help us get there. We will be back Tuesday night. Going to be a fun episode. What we're going to do Tuesday night is I'm going to pull the video game up on the screen. We're going to go through and look at Auburn's ratings and talk about if we think these are fair. We're going to look at everybody. Like I said, I believe Jarquez is the highest rated player on the team. He's a 90 overall. And then Keldrick Falk's at 82, Connor Lew's at 81. I thought those are pretty interesting. So we're going to get into all that and kind of give even if you don't like video games, you'll still want to watch it because we're going to kind of we'll turn it to the football sense and what we think those players really are on the field and give them our ratings. So good stuff, man. I hope we were kind of able to provide you guys a nice little distraction today. Love each and every one of you, man. War Damn Eagle, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Like always. We'll see y'all there, man. We're out of here till the next one.
War Damn.